Hi everyone, welcome back to Root to Soul Nourishment. Today I'm going to talk about story, specifically the story we tell ourselves about ourselves and how that relates to our own relationship to eating and body. So you might be wondering, how does story impact my nutrition, my nourishment, my body? Really, this is a huge part of it, because when we sit down to a meal, we sit down to eat, we are bringing our whole selves to that table. We're not just bringing our physical body, but all of our past, all of the story that we are telling ourselves and our emotional self, it's all coming with us. And that has an impact on how we digest, how we assimilate food, how we metabolize food, and how we feel about food in our body. What I mean by the story we tell ourselves is we have this picture of our identity, of our past, and how that may have shaped us today. We have ideas about how we got to the place we are today with food in our body. And a lot of us are walking around with this negative story about our past and how that's messed us up in some way, and it's why we are the way we are. And it's not a very supportive story. And what that does is it keeps us stuck in the same cycle, the same patterns around food and body that we just can't seem to break out of. So I want to introduce the reframe. Reframing our story is incredibly powerful. What if every part of our past with food and body, all the struggles, have been something working towards our growth? What if we had to go through all of that to become who we really are in this world and actually fully give our gifts? There was a Jungian psychologist, James Hillman, who had the acorn theory, where he realized every tiny little acorn holds the blueprint for becoming this giant oak tree. It's got the DNA in it to do that. And so he kind of thought, well, what if as humans we come into the world with the blueprint for becoming our best self, and it has all we need. We just need the soil and the nourishment and the right stuff to help us grow into that. The soil, all the dirt and muck, fertilizer is often, it can be animal poop, and they need that. They get the nourishment out of that in order to grow and thrive. And so we can kind of take the muck of our life and use that towards our soul's highest growth, and use it in order to become a thriving version of ourselves. I want you to stop and think of, what is the story you're telling yourself around your past struggles with food and body, your current struggles with food and body, and how do you think that story is serving you now? Is it moving you forward? And ask yourself questions of, how is this story impacting my behavior now? And you might not know, but just simply ask yourself this question. And over time, you start to get some of the answers, and you might see a way that you could reframe your story. How is this actually helping me learn and grow, be more empathetic, understand or maybe help others, become a better version of myself, learn resilience? You can write in the comments, how is your story helping or hindering you, and how might you be able to reframe it just a little bit? So that's all for now. We'll talk more about story and even kind of the archetypes, which is like the story of the collective, and how that we can use that to help improve our relationship with food and body. So stay tuned for more. I'll see you next time. Bye. If this resonated with you, take the quiz that's linked in the description box below to tell you where you're at in your nourishment journey, as well as get supportive emails and some extra resources from me. I'd love to have you there.